Green Bay all year is who else steps up. Last week, aside from Devontae, Jimmy Graham probably played the best game of his Packers career. I don't expect he's going to be the guy this week. I just think that San Francisco safeties and linebackers are going to be able to run with him. So that'll leave guys like Allen Lazard or maybe even Aaron Jones who will need to get open. I think the windows are going to be tighter and just going to be tough to throw in general. I think pass blocking has been good for most of the year. They'll have their work cut out for them, though. We faced a lot of strong pass rushes this year and been largely successful, but we did give up 5 sacks against you guys, or maybe it was 6 back in November. I expect to see San Francisco attacking our right guard, Billy Turner, specifically. He was really isolated frequently with stunts and twists against Seattle and did not look good, nor has he looked really good at pass protection for most of the year. He's a good run blocker, but doesn't really he's a liability in pass protection.
There was a cutoff on Twitter of Seattle that ran that same exact stunt on Turner's side like 4 or 5 times in that game. And every time Rodgers was either forced to roll out or step up and get sacked. Yep. So, you're absolutely right. I can see the Niners doing the same thing.
I saw that. I'm sure we saw the same clip because I didn't notice it during the game. I'm just too busy watching the ball. But
right. Me too.
I did see that, and it was not pretty. I think Rodgers getting the ball out on time would go a long way toward us having any efficiency on offense and keeping Rodgers upright. We got to see a vintage Rodgers performance last week, and we really haven't seen that much this year. I think the question has to be, is that simply an aberration, or is he taking his game to another level now that we're in the playoffs? I tend to disregard those types of narratives. But I mean, there is still some magic left in there, and he's obviously capable of making great plays, but for reasons that I can't really explain, he seemed to struggle more with accuracy lately. The deep game really hasn't been there, aside from a couple of passes to Devontae this past week. If he can have another game like last week, I think we'll make things pretty interesting. But I think that's obviously a big challenge given, Richard Sherman and Nick Bosa.
Yep. I mean, that is really what is what the script has to be for Green Bay to win. It's Rodgers just taking over. And I think that's not to discount Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers is just one of those type of players. And that is what the Niners have to fear. When it comes to that, I want to know who you think they're going to sacrifice over on Sherman's side, because Sherman's not going to follow Devontae. He's going to sit on his side. And I don't imagine that LaFleur is going to put Tay over there very often. And so is it a Lazard sacrifice, or is it a Maldi Scantling, the law firm? What do you think?
I don't really know. We haven't been playing Valdez Scantling all that much lately. It's actually been kind of a combination of Lazard, Geronimo Allison, and Jake Kumaro. And none of those guys, I think Lazard has some potential, but he's probably more of like a wide receiver 3 or 4. He's big. He's like 6'5" and 230 and plays physical. He's a real good run blocker. But I think, Sherman's big too. He's not 230 by any means, but, he's got those long arms and he's going to be able to hang with whoever we throw over there in coverage. Devontae, maybe gets the better of him on a few plays here and there just because they're both superstars. But I do think that whoever lines up over there is probably not likely to get thrown too much, maybe on some quick screen type things if we got some of those other wide receivers out in front blocking. Kumaro and Allison. Kumaro, he's first of all, he is related to the Bosas, but he is actually pancaked a couple of guys. He went one-on-one with Jadeveon Clowney on one of Aaron Jones's touchdowns last week. Just got that seal and was able to spring Aaron Jones for the touchdowns. He's a real good blocker. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw some screen action.
What do you think is Rodgers and LaFleur are going to take a page from McVay's book? And I don't know if you saw the Rams 49ers week 17. The Rams were able to get or 16, I should say. Were able to get a first half lead against the Niners at home by doing a lot of bootlegs with taking Jared Goff out. And Jared Goff is nowhere near as mobile as Aaron Rodgers is. But they were able to put him out in space and went down the field 2 or 3 times on us. Salah did make a second half adjustment to come out of that, but do you think the Packers either start the game or incorporate that within the game plan?
It wouldn't surprise me. I think we'll probably see some of that. I don't know that it's going to be a main focus for us, simply because the dirty little secret is I don't think Aaron Rodgers is all that mobile anymore, or at least he doesn't run like he used to. I don't know if it's all the collarbone injuries piling up or what, but I think they said we did that quarterback sneak for a first down last week, keep a drive alive on third down, and that was only his 9th rushing first down all season. So he really hasn't been much of a runner this year. He's kind of navigated the pocket and tried to run around doing backyard football type stuff. But in terms of like actually rushing the ball, I might actually give the give the benefit of the doubt to Jared Goff there.
I could see them running Devontae from like a slot to the backside to the front side of that bootleg. And that's going to be a tough cover for whoever's, either a trail or if they're in man or if they're in zone. How as a linebacker do you hook zone Devontae Adams?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. So, do you have a prediction? How do you think this game's going to look?
I did my prediction on the fly for the Vikings, and I was off big time. Ended up saying the Niners would win by 10. They ended up winning by more. This game, honestly, I think it's going to be a very it's going to be at first tight, not a very high scoring game. We'll probably go into halftime, maybe 3-6, maybe a touchdown scored.
Oh, wow.
I can see the Niners getting ahead into the third quarter, and then I can see Rodgers coming alive. So I think it's going to be a photo finish. I got to hope the Niners aren't on the wrong side of this, but think back to the 2018 game in Lambeau, Sunday Night Football. The Niners were up, played well all game, and then the offense kind of got shut down late, and Aaron Rodgers led them on 2 touchdown drives to end up winning that game. Or I think they ended up kicking a field goal to win. And they attacked the opposite side of the field of Richard Sherman. So that's going to be Devontae Adams versus Emmanuel Mosley. Last game, he was only held to 8 catches on 43 yards or something like that. Got that late touchdown. That I can see them just devoting an entire drive to exploiting that matchup. And with that, I'm going to say Niners win in a nail biter that either comes down to an Aaron Rodgers interception in the goal line or a knockdown or something like that, where it's on a very last play. We decide who goes to the Super Bowl to represent the NFC.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw many interceptions, so that's quite the bold take. Along those same lines, I definitely don't feel like we can make many mistakes in this game. But I think the biggest X factor for Green Bay is going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's been perfectly average for most of the year, but if he can put together another great performance, we should be able to keep things close. I think I actually like the fact that we're 7.5-point underdogs, and there's plenty of coverage out there how Green Bay's 13-3 record's a mirage. Keep it coming, fellas. The chip on 12's shoulder gets bigger by the week. I hope that coupled with the beatdown that you guys gave us earlier in the year will have you guys overconfident and unequipped to get punched in the mouth. I'm a super fan. What kind of super fan would I be if I picked against my guys in the NFC Championship game? I also think it's going to be a nail biter. I'm going to say Green Bay wins 24-23. Jerry Rice fumbled. Go, Pack, go.
Oh, he had to get me with that on the TO catch 2 there. So I was listening to San Francisco radio, and they brought up this point that had happened. There was a play. I don't know. It wasn't a playoff game, but it was a Sunday Night Football game, 97, I believe the year was, and a player was tackled. I want to say whatever your main wide receiver was back then.
Antonio
was tackled completely down. Yeah, Antonio Brown gets back up and scores a touchdown, and they call it a touchdown. Back before replay. Yeah, salute poetic justice.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, Justin, or not Justin. Jeez. Charlie, just NFC West people on my mind, apparently. Charlie, great talking to you. Looking forward to our matchup on Sunday, and we'll have to get together again after the game for one of us to cry great big tears, hopefully you, and one of us to celebrate wildly and look forward to the next coverage for the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. May the best team win. Go Niners.
Go Pack.
All right, James, there goes Brian and Charlie. They too, by the way, talked a lot longer than what you heard. They got cut down a little bit too. The 49ers are favored by 7.5. The spreads in these two games has been rather interesting because I don't see it, the Niners dominating the Green Bay Packers. I do not have a lock this week. I think both these games are going to be rather tight. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be enjoyable, which is all you can ask for if you're not a fan of any of the four teams that are remaining. Weather mostly cloudy, high of 56, low of 46. There will be a slight breeze here as well, but only 10 miles per hour. James, what does the injury report have to say on this one?
Starting with the Green Bay Packers, let's get the big one out the way since you love this one so much. Geronimo Allison, illness.
Come on. How has the flu not finished with these locker rooms? Who was it who a couple weeks ago said, wash your hands, wash your butt? Like, come on, guys.
Somebody for the Titans, I recall. I just can't remember who. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, Preston Smith, linebacker, are both limited in practice this week due to back injuries. Alan Lazard is nursing an ankle injury, so he was limited in practice. Billy Turner, offensive guard, also shows up on the injury report. For the Niners, only three big names showing up this week. Quan Alexander, pec muscle, listed as a limited participant in practice. D. Ford, hamstring, not practicing this week so far. And George Kittle, tight end, was held out due to his ankle injury. So while both these teams come in banged up at this time of year, I'm more worried about the Niners injuries than I am the Packers, because these are three major contributors as far as what they like to do on both sides of the ball.
Well, Kittle played last week. Kittle doesn't look like there's any problem at all. It's probably just a little nagging injury. Keep him out. Be precautionary. Exactly.
And, I don't have a problem with that. I don't see, as we mentioned in the first game, I don't agree with the point spread. And yes, I know in the regular season, San Francisco beat Green Bay like they stole something. Aaron Rodgers did not look like Aaron Rodgers. I think it was the worst game passing-wise of Aaron Rodgers' career by far. Not in recent memory, just in this total career as a quarterback, this is his worst game. That was his worst game ever. I don't see that happening again. If it does, I'll gladly come back next week and say I was wrong. But I expect this game to be a little bit closer. I expect the Packers to ride Aaron Jones a lot and try to get him going early and often, much like they did last week in Seattle, and let Aaron Rodgers be the complementary piece. Let him do what he does late if the game is still in doubt, but in some ways try to save him and get that running game started. If they get Aaron Jones going, this game will stay close and they'll be competitive. If Aaron Jones gets shut down and they have to rely on Aaron Rodgers, I'm worried. And, that's not taking anything away from Aaron Rodgers. He is one of the all-time greats. I just don't think this is the game where he needs to sling the ball 40 to 50 times and throw for 350 yards. That's not going to be a recipe for success. It'll be why they lost by 20 points.
By the way, it's even worse that Geronimo Allison has the silent killer, because it was Devontae Adams who said, wash your hands, wash your butt.
Wash your butt, yeah.
Clearly, he was washing his hands and not his butt. I don't know. This marks the third consecutive year in which the NFC Championship game features the conference's top two seeds. In their Week 12 meeting at Levi's Stadium, San Francisco, as you mentioned, defeated Green Bay 37-8 on Sunday Night Football as the 49ers defense held the Packers to their lowest point total of the season. By the way, speaking of Levi's Stadium, San Francisco, not exactly known as super loud stadium, but I got to tell you, last week that crowd